First up in today's roundup of cybersecurity tech news, 200 military trains are being sent from Russia to Belarus. They're loaded with tanks, among other things, that will be stationed near the Belarusian border with Ukraine, waiting on Putin's orders for an apparent invasion. Now, Belarus is often called the last dictatorship in Europe. It's effectively a puppet state run by this guy, Alexander Lukashenko, who is allowing his country to be used by Russia as a staging ground for a potential invasion of Ukraine. But hacktivists have other plans. A group calling themselves the Belarusian Cyber Partisans has hacked into Belarus's national railway network in an attempt to disrupt the buildup of these Russian vehicles and troops in their country. The Cyber Partisans are essentially an anti-government group. Their manifesto says they want to overthrow the Lukashenko regime and return to democracy. Oh, and by the way, there's no evidence in the slightest that this is some kind of CIA-funded group or anything like that. But of course, if you know otherwise, feel free to post your theories in the comments. Now, they initially gained access to the computer systems of the state-owned railway network in December, but they spent weeks planning their attack before striking just a few days ago, announcing on Twitter, because every good hacking group has a Twitter account, that they've encrypted some of Belarusian Railway's servers, databases and workstations to disrupt its operations, in a bid to frustrate the movement of Russian troops throughout their country. The hacktivists posted proof of their hack, for example a leaked document showing railway staff begging their superiors to upgrade their computers, which all run on Windows XP by the way. They also posted screenshots of the computers they had hacked, which seemed to show that employees were using cracked versions of VMware and other software, and that this is apparently how they were hacked, whether through malicious software itself, or more likely vulnerabilities in pirated software which often never get security updates. The operation to disrupt the railway seems to have worked, or at least to some extent. The railway company was forced to issue a press release stating that, for technical reasons, some services like electronic travel documents have been disrupted. However, just 2 days later they announced that their services have been restored in full. So was this operation successful? Well, if success means preventing or delaying a Russian invasion, then no, it seems not. However, this attack is only one chapter in a whole saga of operations carried out by the Cyber Partisans, one of which being the leaking of secret recordings showing government officials discussing orders to beat the living crap out of pro-democracy protesters. Belarus's regime seems to be taking the Cyber Partisans seriously. They've designated them a terrorist organization because, of course they have. Lukashenko even told his ministers that if you cannot protect information on your computers, then go back to using paper. So I think it's obvious that these guys are being treated as a real threat. And as far as hacktivists group go, the Cyber Partisans have quite a public profile. They post regular updates on Twitter, and it seems they even have a YouTube channel with about 50,000 subscribers. They also love their memes, using those recordings they leaked in one of their previous operations to make little animations. Now, I don't speak Belarusian, obviously, so I can't comment on the quality of these memes, but for the Belarusians watching, please let me know in the comments. An entire country's internet has been crippled in a string of DDoS attacks targeting a Minecraft tournament. Probably not a headline you ever expected to hear. So Twitch was hosting the Squidcraft Games tournament. Idea being they'd recreate the games from Squid Games in Minecraft, then 150 streamers would battle it out, and the winner would go home with $100,000. It only involved Spanish-speaking streamers from places like South America and Europe, which is why you probably haven't heard of it. However, what happened next is hilarious. For whatever reason, someone decided to DDoS the Andorran streamers taking part. Why? No idea. A lot of the time, DDoSing streamers and Minecraft servers is done purely for the lols, as in taking joy in watching the chaos and ensuing fallout, knowing that they caused the mess. You know, think server mods raging in chat and streamers raging on Twitter. But in DDoSing these Andorran streamers, there was some collateral damage. You see, Andorra is a pretty small country, with a population of less than 80,000 people. Such a small country only has a single ISP, and in DDoSing this ISP, the whole country's internet was disrupted. Home internet users, businesses, and even the government all started experiencing timeouts. And the attacks took place over 4 days, with Andorra Telecom giving blow-by-blow updates. The Andorran streamers announced on Twitter that they were of course being forced to drop out, and it seems Google Translate could use some work. Some of the streamers are even offering a 10k bounty to anyone who can identify the DDoSers, but this was likely carried out by a DDoS for hire service, as in someone probably paid a couple $100s to a guy with a botnet to have them boot off the streamers. It's crazy, just a few $100s is all it took to cripple an entire country's internet. Segway, the company that makes Segways, has had their websites hacked using an interesting and creative little technique which involves favicons, those little icons that represent websites. This was discovered by Malwarebytes, which initially became suspicious when they noticed Segway's online store was communicating with a known malicious domain operated by Magecart. Magecart is an umbrella term for a collection of black hat groups which specialize in skimming credit card credentials from e-commerce sites. Researchers discovered a malicious snippet of JavaScript in Segway's store. It was disguised as having something to do with copyright, maybe in a bid to make it look boring and innocuous, something likely to be ignored. The JavaScript grabbed a favicon from an external domain. Again, this seems innocuous and boring, or at least it did until they analyzed the icon itself. And whilst the favicon was a normal image, it was laced with a hidden credit card stealing script, designed to pwn the credit card numbers of the poor souls who just wanted to buy a Segway. It's unknown exactly how Segway's website was compromised in the first place, but we can make some guesses. Magecart's Group 12, the perpetrators here, typically go after e-commerce websites that use Magento or WooCommerce for their backend. Segway uses Magento. Most likely they were either using an outdated version of Magento itself, or they were using a vulnerable plugin. So if you've bought anything on Segway.com since January 6th, then you might want to get your card cancelled, as there's a good chance your creds are up for sale on some dark web carding marketplace. And I suppose, let this serve as a PSA. If you're shopping online, then you have to use a credit card rather than a debit card, or use one of those apps that'll generate you a one-time use card for each purchase. And keep in mind, the only reason this operation was even rumbled was because the attackers were using an old domain that they had used before. Had they been using fresh, new, untainted infrastructure to run their attack, then it wouldn't have been uncovered so quickly. This video was made possible by Altium Designer, the world's #1 PCB design software. 35 years of innovation and development has gone into this bit of kit, and it really shows. Nothing else I've used comes close to the sheer breadth and depth of features. If you dabble in PCB design at all, you have to give this a go. The routing engine, even just in of itself, is sublime. Grab your free trial via the link in the video description. As always, make sure to tickle the notification bell and follow me on the Instagrams for behind the scenes content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.